Have you ever felt that sudden, paralyzing nervousness when someone walks up to you and just asks a question in a foreign language? You know the feeling. Your heart races, your mind goes completely blank, and suddenly it's like you can't remember a single vocabulary word. It happens to the best of us.
Welcome to today's Explainer. We're tackling a massive, incredibly relatable topic today. We're talking about overcoming foreign language speaking anxiety, or, as we're focusing on today, 외국어 말하기 불안 극복법. We're going to dive straight into some fascinating academic research and proven expert tips to help you conquer those speaking fears once and for all.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the reality of speaking anxiety, identify your specific triggers, talk about mindset shifts for success, build up your preparation strategies, and finally, learn how to navigate live conversations.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the reality of speaking anxiety and understanding FLSA.
You know, if you've ever felt like an absolute imposter when trying to speak a new language, you really need to know that you are not crazy. This is actually a fully documented academic phenomenon. It's called foreign language speaking anxiety, or FLSA for short. Take a look at this raw quote from a study at the Open University. "I feel an absolute fraud." Man, that perfectly captures that severe imposter syndrome so many learners suffer from, right? If you felt this way, you're absolutely not alone. Researchers actually break this anxiety down into a few specific buckets. One major one is the fear of speaking spontaneously. But another one, and this is probably the most crushing of them all, is the fear of negative evaluation from your peers. It's that nagging, super heavy feeling that everyone else in the room is secretly judging your grammar or your accent. So what actually sets off these feelings in the first place? That brings us to Section 2, identifying your anxiety triggers and really pinpointing the panic. The data behind this is honestly fascinating. Open University research reveals that nearly 60% of students agree they feel anxious specifically about group activities. That is a massive majority of people who are quietly dreading things like online breakout rooms or those collaborative virtual meetings. So what exactly is triggering all this panic in breakout rooms? Well, first, you have that super awkward virtual dance of turn-taking, where nobody wants to be the first one to speak. Then there's the very real fear of dominating colleagues, just taking over the entire conversation. Third is what I like to call the myth of the flawless native speaker. A lot of us falsely believe that literally everyone else in the room is natively fluent. And finally, missing nonverbal cues, often called camera anxiety. Staring into a screen with zero body language feedback, that definitely amplifies the feeling of isolation. Okay, knowing our triggers is half the battle. Let's move to Section 3, mindset shifts for success, and look at how changing the way you think can directly change how you speak. Here is the absolute most crucial shift you can make. You have to move your focus away from perfection and entirely toward communication. Expert English teacher Tiffany emphasizes this all the time. Prioritizing getting your message across over perfectly reciting your grammar is an absolute game changer. Seriously, if you just let go of that fear of making a mistake and focus on just communicating your idea, it instantly drops your anxiety. Plus, you'll actually learn faster because you're actively using the language. To help you make this mental shift, we've put together a sort of expert mindset toolkit. First up, practice positive self-talk. Literally remind yourself out loud that your brain is amazing. Seriously, do it. Next, actively embrace mistakes as learning opportunities, not failures. Set really small, achievable daily goals. Think learning just 2 new words a day instead of trying to cram a whole dictionary into your head. Celebrate those tiny victories. And above all else, please avoid comparing yourself to others. Your learning journey is uniquely yours. All right, mindset is in check. Let's look at Section 4, Preparation and Practice Strategies, where we'll build up your actionable toolkit. Let's take a look at what successful learners do before they even log into a meeting. Data from the Open University study shows us exactly how students prep. 56% practice out loud in advance, and 43% literally write down their responses beforehand just to completely avoid that terrifying panic of speaking spontaneously. Interestingly, 34% don't prepare at all. But the research heavily suggests that having a structured preparation routine is an absolute key strategy for mitigating panic.
Building on that, here are some awesome active prep tactics from teacher Tiffany that you can literally implement today. First, try recording yourself speaking and then listen back to it. It really helps you track your progress and develop an ear for your own pronunciation. Next, practice maintaining eye contact in front of a mirror. Look, I know it might feel kind of weird at first, but it builds crucial muscle memory and confident body language. You should also write down some common phrases for different contexts in a notebook and gradually expose yourself to harder speaking scenarios just to keep stretching that comfort zone.
Okay, so you've prepped, but what happens when you're actually in the room? Let's hit our final section, navigating live conversations and executing in the moment. Entering a fast-paced professional meeting and having to introduce yourself? Utterly terrifying. Thankfully, the BBC Learning English team has a brilliant tip for this. Instead of fumbling over some vague job title that might not even translate well, just use this exact phrase. For those who don't know me, I'm responsible for, and then just state your actual duties. It is such a highly professional, confident way to establish your expertise right out of the gate.
But what if the meeting is totally dominated by other people and you literally can't get a word in edgewise? Well, the BBC offers a highly effective 3-step framework for interrupting politely. Step 1, apologize slightly. Just a quick, I'm sorry. Step 2, ask permission to enter the discussion. Something like, could I add a thought? And step 3, add your brilliant idea to the table. It's respectful, but it's also assertive, ensuring your voice gets heard even in a super crowded virtual room.
Now, if you still feel totally overwhelmed in the heat of the moment, here are some actual academic survival tactics pulled directly from the research. The first is called translanguaging. Basically, if you freeze and forget a word, just say it in your native language to keep the conversational momentum going. You can also keep an online dictionary open in another window, just in case. If things get too intense online, don't be afraid to use the virtual step away button. Just step back, take a breath, and gather your thoughts. And finally, if the conversation goes totally off the rails, you can absolutely ask the host to stick to the agenda.
So why do we put ourselves through all this stress and effort? Well, because the ultimate reward is real-world connection. Teacher Tiffany shared this truly beautiful anecdote about an e-bike delivery man who recognized her on the street. He literally pumped his brakes, threw his bike in reverse, and thanked her. He explained that overcoming his fear of speaking English using her lessons literally helped him get a job in America. Overcoming this fear doesn't just improve your vocabulary, guys. It profoundly changes lives and opens up entirely new worlds of connection.
And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. What small speaking victory are you going to celebrate today? I challenge you to take just one immediate positive step toward conquering your speaking anxiety right now. Whether that's talking to a mirror or finally speaking up in your next meeting, just do it. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey, and keep speaking up.